Good morning, flower friends. It's time to take a tour of the Secret Cottage Garden. We have not been doing that this summer. Last year, this was my main focus. I got a lot of things in. I did a lot of videos back here, but this year I've been focused on the front because I was really redoing that. I've got that going pretty well, and I've got my drip irrigation system in the front and in the side garden. I'm pointing to where they're at relative where I'm standing. But the Secret Cottage Garden has kind of taken a back seat, and it looks like it, but this month I'm tackling the Secret Cottage Garden back here, and I'm trying to be judicious in what I do. Come when everything's dormant, whether that's this early winter or early spring of next year, I'm going to put the drip irrigation back here. My main problem I've been dealing with this year back here is the gophers. I've noticed some evidence up front, but back here they've really been devastating things. They've eaten my Oriental Poppies, which were doing so gorgeous. I did not know Oriental Poppies, if you deadheaded, would keep on blooming through the season, through the summer, and mine were. And then one day came out and majority of them were dead, eaten off to a nub. The roots were. I have one left over there, and I didn't dig it up. One I dug up thinking I'd try to save it, but I don't think it made it. So it was worth a shot because it was getting eaten. But I will take you around and we'll see what's going on in the garden. You'll see stuff sitting around still because it's still work in progress. But I will show you before of right here. I started right here next to the studio, and I'm getting it going. I'm making progress is what I mean to say. And I'm liking how it's coming along. And then I'll show you a plant that right now the gophers are, I think, eating. I will tug on it and we'll see. Okay, let's take a tour around. So right here is my little fountain. This is where the hummingbirds love to come and shower in the morning. And they take drinks. Some people said they don't drink from these fountains, but I saw them drinking from it. So they do. So you always want to keep your fountains, bird baths, etc. clean so that they are safe for them to drink from. But right in here, this is going to be on my paths. That's what that's there for. I had a bunch of pots in here when we were going to be on vacation. I wanted them to be hit by the sprinkler since I don't have an irrigation system set up back here. And I'm just now clearing it out. It's blue star creeper that you see the ground cover on the ground. And then these hostas are in the ground, and then that one's still in the pot. I am going to put it in the ground soon. I just now got this container planted up with the impatiens. It was out front on my driveway, and everything in it kind of got killed back because it wasn't getting watered. And then I had it brought out here, and it was empty except for this sedum. And then when I started watering it, I think it made that sedum weak, and it started flopping over. I'm collecting the pieces, and I will re-root them because this has really been a pretty color. And I'll put them somewhere where it's drier. And I think next year, I'm already planning next year, I think I'm going to do blue lobelia all in here because, I'll show you over here. You see this container? Now this is I think three or four lobelia plants in here, but I just love that blue and the contrast with this geranium, this salmon colored geranium. This is one of my seedlings. I grew this on my light shelf. This is some more hens and chicks. I was letting them callus over in here. I grew these from seed. Gorgeous. This is doing beautiful here. It loves it. It gets a little bit of sun, a little bit of shade, so it's kind of a balanced light. The alyssum came back. It reseeded itself and came back from last year, which is doing beautiful here too. So that's a win, and I think I want to do that in this container. I think that'll work well there. So you can see this was all a big weed patch, and you can see my shovel where I was digging it up. I just shave it along the top, and I just shave them off and then rake them up. We'll see a section where this looks like in a minute because there's still areas I need to get to. Oh, the sun's coming over the trees. Here is something. Now last year I was talking about, let me move the camera. I'll get over there and talk to you. This, my circle. This raised bed was supposed to be 4 feet around. And then my other one I had here was 3 foot around. My idea was to stack them and then plant them and then have like a showpiece on top. This is a terracotta pot that's in here now. And this was going to go on top, so it was going to be a big tiered display. Once we got the bottom section done, put in, I went to put the next section on, and it wasn't either. This isn't 4 feet, or the other round bed was not 3 feet. I didn't measure them. I moved that over there. So that didn't work. But I just plopped the pot here. This has Princess Alexandra of Kent, David Austin Rose in it. And they'll bring you up closer and you can see this petunia. I grew this petunia from seed this last winter in early spring inside on my light rack. And it is crazy. It is a climbing petunia, not trailing, climbing. And it does. It does drape too, but it likes to climb up whatever it is planted near, or if you have a trellis or something. And it has bloomed and gotten thicker and bigger, and I love it. It has been stellar. It's been super hot, and it's in the pot. And then I don't think there's any down here, but I have another one planted over there, and we'll see that later. Gorgeous. Love it. I planted Nicotiana in here because I didn't have anywhere to put it. So many came up from seed, and I'll show you one right now because I cannot resist showing you the color of this thing. It is just gorgeous. So let's start and go around this way, and we'll see what's going on. Look at the color on this thing. Isn't it just amazing? Look at this. I love this thing. It's creamy on the front, but look at that back color. You go around it and you see it's got this almost mango-ish tropical color. And look at the buds. This is just so gorgeous. And these smell fabulous in the evening. They kind of droop in the heat of the day, but I'm not usually out here in the heat of the day, so that doesn't bother me. And then in the cool of the evening and the morning, they're wide open. But the gophers, so far, I've left them alone, and I think it's because they're poisonous. They're in the nicotine family, and I don't think they'll bother them. So that may be an option for putting over there in the beds that are not raised beds and protected, so that the gophers will leave them alone and maybe go away from there. I just wanted to give you a close-up of that. Beautiful coloration. Do you see these? I don't know if I did the video or posted it of these after the freeze. Here's a, this is a begonia. Look at this. Isn't that gorgeous? Last year I had my begonias everywhere and they didn't do a thing. But this one is blooming. I need to prop it up. I had it up there so I could see it, but gorgeous. Anyways, these in the late freezes in May that just devastated so many things. I lost 3 Japanese maple trees that have been here for years. That tells you how devastating those freezes were. But these died back twice, and I didn't think they would live at all. Now this is, I left the tag, Endless Summer Summer Crush type hydrangea. And they bloom not only in old wood, but new wood. And that's a blessing because look after all that, it's coming back, and look at that bloom on it. Isn't that gorgeous? It is the prettiest. It's almost like raspberry sorbet, but that is just beautiful. And this one hasn't bloomed, but it looked like it was an even sorrier shape than this one. Maybe because it's closer to the open. I don't know. But I'm thrilled. So hopefully this seems to be a good spot for these. I will keep them in the pots because the gophers were eating my other hydrangeas. Now the 2 on to my right, they won't bloom because they are the old-fashioned type that only bloom on old wood, and they got froze back too. But I'm just thrilled they're still alive. So let's keep on going around. So right down there is my mossy heart. Let me see. It's been sad because, as I said, it's been neglected back here. It was overgrown with stuff around. It didn't get watered because I wasn't filling my bird bath enough. And it's recovering. I've cleaned it up. All this dirt here, there's gravel underneath there, and that's from the gophers digging up. And I'm going to show you right now a plant that I think they've started eating, because they've already eaten one echinacea. I dug it up and I put it in a pot because it was my new powwow white. So here is down here, the empty spot, the bare spots are where, I'll show you instead of just yapping. Right there was the white swan echinacea, and it was dropped over like this one day, and it had been eaten. Oh yeah. Oh, there's a big hole under it. Oh, goodness gracious. So I'm going to get a pot. I'm going to put this in the pot. There is some roots left. Cut it back, and then it may recover. I have tons of echinacea, but I really want to get that taken care of. So I will go do that really quick, and then I'll be back. Yeah, look at that. Just eaten to a nub. But see, it's still got some roots, so I'll plant it and see if I can save it. But I do grow them from seed, so all is not lost if I cannot resurrect this one. So anyways, let me set this aside. Okay, and the battle continues. But it opens up the space, and I can think about whether I want to replace it with another coneflower. I think that one came up volunteer, and I even have one already started in another pot, which I could go ahead and bury that pot in the soil. The pot will protect it from the gophers, but the echinacea will still grow. So that's an option there. Okay, let's see. Hopefully you can still see over here. The phlox are doing beautifully, though they do show evidence around the base that the gophers may be eating on them too. Is this getting too dark from the black light? I don't know. Anyways, and I hope they don't go after my white echinaceas there. Those are gorgeous. The other one is recovering. I do have more out front. I did start these from seed. Oh, I wanted to show you something. Let's get over there. Can you see that beautiful flower? That is my Peaches and Dreams hollyhock, and I'm loving it. I'm hoping the gophers don't eat it. The gophers haven't been known to eat huge hollyhocks here, and all of a sudden I'll find them tipped over. I may find this one tipped over. Grew it from seed. I would definitely do this again. We've had hollyhock rust really bad this year, but still I would do it. And the asters here are doing fantastic as well. They're shorter than the phlox, so I may need to redo this bed. Or next year, I will do a Chelsea chop on the phlox, and they'll bloom shorter. So whatever. I'm still getting the feel for different flowers. Flowers don't always grow the height they say on their tags for me, because they're always reaching for the sun, and I garden in an area with tall evergreens surrounding me, and they block the light much of the year, or at least a lot of the light, until the sun comes through. So I'm going to show you one of my favorites back here. So down here, I've shared this before, but I cannot share it enough. I'm walking around and I'm sinking in areas like gophers, really the tunnels. You know that feeling when you step on a tunnel. Anyways, this Gara, this is a petite pink, I think it's called. This is a proven winners. I also saw another one at another garden center. It's just called Dwarf Gara, and it looked similar, but I've been thrilled with this. I had to chop some of it back earlier in the spring, and it just rebounded. It had gotten smashed by something, and it looked pretty devastated, but it's recovered and looks beautiful. I loved it so much that I bought another one, and we'll see it around the bend in a second. So around here, another win is these petunias. I'll swing you back this way too, really quick, and aim you down. Look at these. These I grew from seed and put along here. I put them out in May when we were having a warm streak, And even though they endured the 2 freezes, I mean, they still look beautiful. I thought they would be toast. That's where we got down to 20 degrees. And the second freeze, I think we got down to 20 degrees 3 nights in a row. And these petunias didn't even bat an eye. So I was thrilled. But I love being able to plant this whole border of these petunias. And they're well behaved. These are a wave petunia. I didn't know that they had doubles, but this was like lilac something. And just beautiful. I'm thrilled with them. I would do it again. I think I would like a little more a vibrant color, or maybe just a pure white as the border, but they haven't missed a beat. And they didn't get well watered, nothing. They just have done so great here. And the gophers so far have left them alone. We'll see. It seems like they go around and pick a certain plant, like they did the Oriental Poppy. I had one of them was right there. And then they moved over to right over there to eat the other one, bypassing all the other plants. So it seems like they got a taste for Oriental Poppies. They hunted them down and ate them and left others alone. And then when we got finished with those, they decided to take out some more plants. But this bench, I love it here. This is a new location for it from last year. Last year I had it over by the studio. Behind it is just a patch of reseeded flowers. Back there is another section that is being devastated by gophers. I am going to put in raised beds, along the fence line so that I can plant things. I think that's what happened to my delphiniums that were so gorgeous last year. They just disappeared. I can only imagine the gophers ate them, because I had them for several years and they were beautiful, and then boom, gone. And my ones in front have come back, and then the side garden. So it has to be the gophers. So that's my plan. I'm going to put raised beds and irrigation in this coming winter, spring, what have you. But look, the Echinaceas is doing beautiful. I need to prop it up a little more. There is a hydrangea beside them that seems to be getting swamped by them. So that's another project. But look at that blue. And we're going to get up close to all my flowers, and I'll show you. I kind of get off course here, but it's all good. I want to get back over here. Now, despite maybe gophers tunneling over here, which I know they are because I've got mounds of soil over here, but look at this. This is my Rainstay Violets rose. It's doing beautiful here. It's taking off. So hold our breath. The gophers don't eat it. I have a gladiola coming up here and here. I'm hoping it's white like the ones over there and doing so beautiful. But I'll pan you around. You can see kind of back here. I did put a spare tomato back here. A spare tomato back here amongst all this. Here's some purple rooster monarda. It's doing okay. I need to cut it back, deadhead it. But deadheading, and that's just cutting off the spent blooms. But here is oh no, it snapped off. Anyways, the tomato. And it's getting swamped by the morning glories. And I need to tie it up. But I just had an extra one, and I threw it in there thinking, oh well, I need to throw it in somewhere, and that was a bare spot because that's where one of my delphiniums was. And there's a little piece there of a delphinium, but it's all gone. And over there I have another hollyhock, Peaches and Dreams. Let me scooch it over there. Past the bench. I sit on this bench in the morning and kind of, gather my thoughts on what I'm going to do. So over here, some more of the asters. These are from the side garden. That's the same ones over there behind the white phlox. And they've done beautifully so far. The gophers have left them alone. I need to tie up this. Let me see if I can get this glad propped up here. I'm hoping the gophers leave these gladiolas alone. So far, so good. They've left the ones in the vegetable garden alone. But look at these asters. back here I have a rose. I was going to wiggle it to see if maybe the gophers were eating it. You can tell by how loose. Yeah, I need to dig that up and save it and put it in a container because they are chewing on the roots. If it rocks really easily, that means it's not firmly in the soil, and that's only from them eating all of the roots. So I got to get that out of there before it gets killed. I knew it was not performing well. Those roses, it's a hide haul. They usually just are monsters and take over, get 6 feet tall, and it just hasn't done anything. So I was suspected gophers. Down here is my other, the sun's coming out, my other dwarf Gora. Pretty pink petite, and this is a Proven Winners one. So I love it. And even when it's not, this one's almost spent and I can deadhead this back, it'll keep blooming. This starts blooming early, and even before it blooms, these stems have a reddish color, which is just gorgeous. And so that's a winter plant. And I like it because it does stay shorter for me. I'm looking for plants that will stay shorter. That's a challenge because, as I said before, when they reach for the sun, they tend to get really tall. The bees are just loving that. I was going to show you the path to display what the other one looked like before I had weeded it. So let's step back and I will point you down. That, my friends, is what it looked like. And so I just take my shovel and I scoop along the edge. Oh my goodness, a hole. And clear it up. But let's take a view of the garden from this angle. Now my climbing roses are going to bloom again. I got a blue jay over there wanting to dip into the water in my tub. Oh, there he is on the side of it. I don't know if you can see him. I guess I need to fill that up so it's high enough for him to get into. But I have 2 different climbing roses, my iceberg on there, and this I think is Kiss of Desire, but I can't remember for sure. So that is doing great. They're both in pots. I had to put them in pots to preserve them from the gophers, and they're doing well. They will root through down to the bottom, and if the underneath, into the soil underneath, and if the gophers chew on them, it's okay because the main root is in the pot and protected. The other roots, you know, it's just. And this, look, there's another one of those climbing petunias doing great. These pots will go, and that's a path there. And it seems like the alfalfa straw or alfalfa hay has really been a great mulch right there on the path. Nothing has grown through it. I think it's thick enough. Very inexpensive, and it feeds the soil. I used it for a temporary measure. This bale of alfalfa had gotten moldy, so I couldn't feed it to my chickens, which is what I bought it for. So I decided to use it in my paths because I knew that it would feed the soil as it deteriorated, and it's held up so far all summer beautifully. I'm thinking I'm going to do that in other areas because even though it breaks down slowly, and I will replace it, it does feed the soil, and the plants seem to love it. And the worms, I'll lift that up. I would have so many worms to show you. So anyways, that's a clue. If you want some inexpensive path lining mulch, this works great for me, and it's comfy to walk on. Okay, let's take a closer look at the beds over there. Isn't that gorgeous? This is climbing, up this Aglaia daisy, which it needs to be deadheaded and to continue to bloom, but it's being swamped by this. And I planted this over there. My Colette rose needs to be tied up, and it has just climbed up this, and I loved it. I'm just letting it go so that it works so well. And over here is my other moss heart back there, and it's doing okay. You can see this golden charm thread. I think I killed it. I'm going to cut it back and see if it's salvageable, if it'll come back from the roots. but it just didn't get watered. It was in a spot that it missed getting watered, and it should look like the one next to it. And I'm so sad because those things were beautiful. I was looking for a spot to put them in the garden, and I think I know where I want them, but I just didn't pay close attention, and it missed getting watered. Kind of like this is one of my projects, which was a lavender topiary, and it was gorgeous. Look how thick that trunk was. And now it's dead as a doornail. But start again. Start again. Still smells pretty though, just handling the trunk. I can smell it on my hand. So over here is where my last Oriental Poppy is. It's down at the base of this Nicotiana. So maybe the Nicotiana is preventing the gophers from coming through there. I don't know. One could hope. But there's Monarda. It needs to be deadheaded, but it's still gorgeous. And more of the Echinops. I put some Echinops over here. I try to repeat the flowers through the garden to keep harmony. And I do have down here another Echinacea, but Miss Colette is kind of obscuring it down there. They need to be deadheaded. When they fade like that and they get the big cone, let me see if I can push this down a little bit more. Oh, there they are. When they fade like this one over here and get the tall cone, which I love, needs to be deadheaded to promote more blooms. And in the fall, I'll let these just stay when I know it's going to get a freeze or something. And then the birds, you should see them go crazy over those things in the winter. And a lot of times these will get tall enough that they stand above the snow, and the birds on them with the snow underneath and just the coneflower sticking up. It looks really lovely to watch the birds. Let's move this way. I thinned out some of these. These iris got so thick. I thinned some out, and I could put something right there. This white hollyhock was a volunteer, and I'm glad I left it. I was going to pull it up because I've been wanting some more white in my garden, and so I'll save the seeds. Sounds like somebody's weed eating down the road. Okay, this bed next to me, to my right, is rather a mess, but this is my next project. I got to decide what I want to put in here. There's tons of iris. These daisies, even though I've been deadheading them, haven't been really coming in thick. My cat's going crazy over there, and there's nothing that she's playing with. Let me see if you can see her. I don't know. She's being a nut. Jumping around. Now, if only she would catch gophers. Oh, she's got a stick. Oh, evil kitty. Let's see if she spots that hummingbird that's over there on the fountain. Let's see if we can zoom in. He's on the fountain. If you could see him or her right there on the edge. I need to set up my camera and just let it film right there and see if I can capture any. Okay, back here. I get distracted. I have butterfly weed right here. And butterfly, or not butterfly weed. What is that? You know what I'm milkweed. Yes, milkweed right there. And then my cat's cracking me up. Anyways, over here, let's take a quick look around this flower bed. The lime Nicotiana. My first Nicotiana convinced me to try to grow the other colors. This one reseeded, thankfully, and is doing gorgeous. It's blooms and blooms and blooms. And there's a few plants in there. I even transplanted some to the front, and I'll make sure and do that again so I can put it throughout the gardens. This is my Firefighter Rose. It's a beautiful red. It's my only hybrid tea. I have to pamper this thing. Hybrid teas don't do well for me, but my husband bought it for me for an anniversary present years ago, and it's the most beautiful red and smells so glorious. It has a nice, beautiful rose scent. There's a lot of roses that don't have a lot of scent, and this one does. So here's my butterfly flower, or my milkweed. Hopefully I can get some monarch caterpillars, but so far nothing. I had one monarch come by. Here's a poppy that's in here. This whole bed really needs a working over. So we're going to get to that. This is one of my, it's not rose campion, but it's in the family of the rose campion. And this is the white version, and sometimes it has blush pink. It was blooming heavily earlier in the season, and it's been going to seed, and I cut it back. So it'll reflush some blooms. So this bed, like I said, needs to be reworked. My iris need to be thinned, etc. This is a tough area because it gets a lot of shade, but then part of the summer it gets a lot of sun. And that's my challenges in my garden. So over there is my other Nicotiana and the other bed we just had visited. And there's my tripod. Took the camera off of it, and now I'm holding it. So the sun's coming over, doing beautiful. I still have some boxwoods in containers. This one never has become a dark green. It's stayed more of a yellowy. I don't know if that's natural for it or if there's something wrong with it. Sunshine ligustrum has struggled for me, so I'm going to move it up front and see if it does better. Here's the other side of the circle, which the paths will run around. And this is the Nepeta I grew from seed, which I've been thrilled with. Hopefully the white that's in the side garden will do as beautifully. And I'm replanting boxwoods. These are ones I started from cuttings. I have a video on that if you want to see how I do it. And then this hopefully will be surrounded by boxwoods and whatever I plant there. So whatever survives the gophers, we'll see. So that, my friends, really is where my secret cottage garden is at this season. Oh, I forgot. Let's go over and look at. I seed zinnias direct. I don't start them in pots because it just hasn't usually worked for me. And finally, this is the middle of August, I'm getting zinnias. I had a lot of bug pressure this year, and I would get seedlings and all of a sudden they'd be gone. And I caught pill bugs eating them. But I used to have some over here in this container too. These ones I did start in a 6-pack, and I just plopped them in here to let them grow on. And hopefully I'll have time to get flowers from them. As I said, I think they're saying we're supposed to have a La Nina fall and winter. So that means it'll be very mild here. So maybe I'll get flowers up through November. Which, since I didn't get a summer until starting in July, that will be very welcome. And soon I'll do an update on my cutting garden I put in over there. It has been a massive failure, but that's for another day. So my garden friends, that's kind of the tour of the Secret Cottage Garden, where we're at in mid-August. Now I do this because I want a journal of what's going on, and I look back on it in winter, and then I can kind of plot and plan what I want to do. But I wanted to share it with you too, because if you've got an area that even though for summer's just about over, that you just didn't get to this year, no worries. Look at it as an opportunity to really redo something for next year, or to plot and plan. Like, the echinaceas over here that have been eaten, I can think of something else that maybe I want to put there now, whereas before I might not have removed something that was established. Sometimes I have a hard time doing that. Other times I could just pull something up and be done. So we'll see if the gophers go for any of the other plants over here in this area or not. I know I can see a bunch of piles where they really are thick in here. So I may just do like at whiskey barrels, what have you, to put in, and then I just avoid the gophers whatsoever. Or the metal raised beds, they have the long, narrower ones. There's a lot of things I can do. So it's just, my gardens are a journey. They're never done. So I'm constantly out here changing, planting, and now I am my vegetable garden was a total fail this year. I haven't even gotten zucchini, if that tells you how bad it's been. But there's been a lot of issues. So My focus this year has been setting up, getting the bones in, and what I mean bones is the irrigation system. Once that happens, it'll be much easier. And if we do have a really bad drought year again, we're setting up a gray water system that will be filtered so that we will have water from our sinks and tubs and washing machine that will probably do the majority of our watering. We have a neighbor down the street who set up his, and he irrigates his entire garden with the filtered gray water. And that's what I would like to do. It's a wonderful idea. It's a fantastic way to conserve water, reuse water, what have you, no matter where you're at, even if you don't live in a drought-laden area. So that, my friends, is this mid-August garden, and I hope you'll join me in my next video, where I'll share even more update in parts of the garden. So, see you next time.